Getting to 260 is easier than ever now because of things like hyperburning taking you all the way there. So a lot of you guys are probably 260 plus and trying to get to 275 eventually. This video is going to help you guys on your journey to 275. It's going to serve as a sort of checklist, reminder, and general guideline of everything that you need to do or should be aware of while trying to hit level 275. You guys seem to have enjoyed the video that I made for everything that you need to know to hit level 260. So we're going to do the same thing, but to level 275, because I feel that's the next big progression point for a lot of people. And there's actually a surprising amount of things that you need to know that can make your journey there way smoother. So let's go all the way to the beginning. You hit level 260. What's the first thing that you have to do? Well, the first thing you got to do when you're 260 is to do your 6th job advancement and the Cernium Prequest. So real quick for the 6th job advancement, once you're 260 in your light bulb, you'll see the 6th job continue with the job advancement quest line. And you'll get these stones, very similar to when you hit 5th job, you got the stones, but you get these arcane stones. You get 9 of them total, and they each need 50 billion XP to fill up. So in total, you'll need 450 bill XP. Now, this alone could be a pretty big challenge for a lot of people to get 450 bill XP to unlock your 6th job, but I'm going to show you how you could do it a little bit faster. The first thing that you need to keep in mind is quest XP, like your daily XP, does not apply to those 6th job stones, and neither does Monster Park. Monster Park does not apply to those 6th job stones as well. When you're training to fill up the stones, make sure that if there's an event that has anything that has like VIP boosters, like right now it has VIP boosters, make sure to use these while training. These VIP boosters, the way that they work is if you were to use it, you'll get this pop-up and you press yes. And for 100 seconds, there's going to be extra mobs that spawn in the map. And these extra mobs give you a stupid amount of bonus XP, and it can help you fill up your 6th job stones way faster. The other thing that you should do to fill up your 6th job stones faster is use the 3x coupons, because filling up your stones is based off of how much XP you're getting. So you want to amplify how much XP you're getting to the absolute max. I actually have a full guide on how to increase your XP rates as well. Could be really useful for filling up your 6th job stone. You could put into XP obtained over here. You could put into the Legion artifact XP obtained. And there's even 3x coupons in the Midnight Party daily check-ins. So all of these things will help you unlock your 6th job way faster. Here's another thing that could also help you unlock your 6th job faster is by training in Cernium. Now, obviously, I know when you do your Cernium Prequest, it's going to be really hard because you're not going to have any Sacred Forest. So I would highly recommend, after doing your Cernium Prequest, using a bit of the symbol selectors to get your symbol, your Cernium symbol that is, to at least level 3. Because if it's level 3, you'll have 30 Sacred Force and you can train a little bit easier, maybe in these starter overlook maps. But training in these maps give you way more XP than training in Lamina, because you probably trained in Lamina for a really long time, but the Cernium rates are literally 3 times higher than Lamina rates. So I would highly recommend getting to the point where you can train, even if it's 2-shotting, it's still better than training in Lamina, so that you could fill up your 6th job stones way faster. So let's talk about 6th job real quick. This is going to be your main bread and butter when you're 260 or higher. The 6th job Hexa Matrix gives you a massive amount of damage. You are extremely incentivized to farm once you're over 6th job. You are actually rewarded a lot. There's actually a very interesting concept on this game. There are things that are more RNG, and there are things that are more guaranteed, right? Legion, for example, is guaranteed. Every single time you do a Legion character, your Legion will always go up. So it makes it very valuable to do your Legion because you will always get stronger for every single hour that you put into the game. Now, what's really nice about 6th job is you also get stronger every single hour you put into the game. So you're actually very rewarded to train past 260 plus because you can upgrade your 6th job skills and get a lot stronger through this. Whereas in Star Forcing, sometimes you could get unlucky and you won't finish your gear, and all that meso you farmed could go down the drain. So it's very important once you're 260 plus to have the mindset that you're going to need to start grinding soon, because once you're 260 plus, that's when the real grind starts, because you need to get your Hexa skills up. Very important. Now let's talk a little bit about gear when you're 260 plus. So hopefully at this point you have your basic meso and drop gear sorted out. 100% meso, 80% drop. If you don't have that, at least one line meso and one online drop across your accessories, then I would highly recommend doing that. And then after that, it actually becomes even more important to get more drop rate. So you're gonna want to start looking at getting hybrids, double drops, slowly, incrementally, as you're leveling past 260 plus, because familiars are coming out in this region very soon, and you can get more Soul Urta fragments, which make you way stronger. So you want to think of the drop gear as actually in a way kind of like damage gear, because once you're 260 plus, you get fragments which make you stronger, and you get more fragments by having more drop gear. So in a way, the drop gear is actually making you stronger faster than just cubing for damage gear. Another thing after your 260 plus is to try some harder bosses. If you're not already in a guild, definitely join one at this point. A lot of guild requirements are 260 plus because they want to weed out the people who don't finish their hyper burns. So definitely try and join a guild and try and see if you could join some harder parties. The Hexa Matrix gives you a tremendous amount of damage, so you can start joining these H Lucid, H Will parties, Gloom, Vihilla, Dark Now, and it's very important to try and join these parties as early as possible, because you're going to start getting arcane drops from those bosses, and it'll make you way stronger, and you'll finish your gear a lot faster. Not only that, you'll also start getting more money every week because you're doing harder bosses, and you'll start getting these Ozring boxes. These drop from higher tier bosses, these red jade boxes, the black jade box, and eventually even the white jade box, and you get a really high chance of getting really good rings that make you way stronger. All of this should become available to you as you're going up from 260 to 275, so keep that in mind. You're going to want to try and join these bosses, and certain bosses that you might have struggled before with your 6 job gains, you could probably start killing, like Hard Lotus, for example, could be a massive resource for you getting solo loot on this boss. Another thing that becomes available to you is Highmountain. Now keep in mind, when you're a fresh 260, this is very difficult to complete. You don't have to do it all in one sitting. You can leave and re-enter, but it is very difficult to complete as a fresh 260. I'm not trolling. It can take literally like 2 hours, I've seen, for a fresh 260 to do this. So you can try it if you want, but just know that you're going to have to abuse Mitra's skills a lot because he does way more damage than a fresh 260 does. But the rewards from this are insane. They give you a lot of fragments and a lot of XP. Another very important thing to do once you're 260 plus is Monster Park Extreme. So real quick, how Monster Park Extreme works is all you need to do is kill the mobs at the top of your screen. For me, it's these 2 birds and the 2 snakes. So I'm going to look for the birds. Here's the birds, right? So as you can see, as I kill them, it gets to 50. And once you kill all 50 of the 4 different types, you go to the middle and you hold down interact. And when the meter fills up, the giant monkey boss will spawn. But make sure when you summon the boss or somebody else summons the boss, make sure you type in party chat where it is, whether it's on the top left, mid right, middle, top, bottom, and wherever it is. Make sure you call out where it is, because you and your party members are going to have to find it, and sometimes it's a bit hard to find. So for example, if it were to have spawned in the middle, I would just type middle. Well, I'm not in a party, but then everybody would see it. If you type in all chat and somebody is really far away from you in the map, they're not going to be able to see your message. So make sure you type in party chat where everybody can see it. The other thing about MPE is to please do it in a party. You could do it in a party of 4. That's why it's very important to join a guild as well, is to be able to get into these MPE parties, because it gives you a lot of XP and an extra box. Keep in mind that this thing is actually pretty hard to kill, especially on a fresh 260, but as you level past 260, it becomes way easier to kill. Pro tip is, if you're brand new to MPE, the first time you spawn the monkey in, he's only available to hit for 30 seconds, so that's not that much time. By the time you find him, he's probably already gone, so you might not want to use your burst right away. See, he spawns in a random location. I don't know where he is, so I'm going to be looking for him. So he probably spawned on the left side of the map, and since I'm by myself, it means I'm probably cooked. There he is. So now, because I didn't kill him in time, you have to repeat the entire process all over again. Kill the 4 different mobs, summon him again, but this time he'll last longer. He won't just disappear after 30 seconds. So let's go back to talking about training when you're 260 plus. When you're 260 plus, this is probably going to be the first time where you're really having trouble to one-shot, because these mobs do have a lot more HP. The Sacred Force requirement is a little bit higher, so you might have a little bit of trouble one-shotting. So I'm going to show you a couple of tips that you can do to help you one-shot easier. The first thing is getting more Legion, obviously. Legion is so valuable, and if you have a Legion page, you don't have to have high Legion like mine, but if you have a Legion page that you could put into crit damage and normal monster damage, it will increase your mobbing damage by so much. It's important to optimize these things like Legion and Legion Artifact and your hyper stats as well. You would have a hyper stat page. Like for me, I have normal damage, and crit damage. All these things will help you one-shot a lot easier. And another thing that is a little expensive but does help you along the way once you're 260 plus is having a secondary that is better for one-shotting. So for example, this is one that I use, has attack boss. This is really good for bossing, but this one has damage attack damage, which actually gives me more range, which means that it's specifically better for mobbing. So I would use this if I had trouble one-shotting. Another thing, if you don't have your link skills by now, definitely use your link skills. Ho Young link is super important for one-shotting, and so is Lara link. Now, keep in mind there are other ways to get stronger than just making damage accessories. Once you're 260 plus, it actually becomes very important to use your money wisely. So let's talk about how you can get stronger without making damage accessories, because I always mention all the time, make your drop gear, make higher drop gear, and obviously if you have drop gear, then you're losing a little bit of damage off of your accessories because they don't have strength, luck, and dex or whatever you need, right? You can get stronger by star forcing the items that you wear for bossing and mobbing. So for example, CRA, I wear it when I boss and I mob, so it becomes even more valuable to star this early because you're wearing it no matter what. Same with your armors, right? If you have Apsos, you could star them past 17 if you want, but I would highly recommend just waiting for arcanes and getting damage elsewhere, like through your belt or getting 2-line attack on your secondary, for example. Or if you do have training gear like a black bean mark, you can get the black bean mark to higher than 15 stars. That's why when I talk about making meso and drop gear, I always say do it on items that you can get past 15 stars, because in the future, if you need help one-shotting, you're going to regret having double line drop on like a silver blossom ring that is hard stuck at 10 stars. Another thing that is very important to the journey to 275 is to familiarize yourself with the Nexon website. So the patch notes are very important to look at, and in particular the sunny Sundays. The sunny Sundays are very important to know because once you're 260 plus, it becomes very important to do things only on event. So for example, this past weekend we had the Shining Star Force event. Stuff like this, these Star Force events, 30% off Star Force events, you want to play around these because it'll make the most use of your money. Your costs for upgrading gear once you're 260 plus and you're going for items that are 21, 22, maybe even 2-line gear, it becomes a lot higher. So you're going to want to use these events and you're going to want to be aware of them as much as possible. So for example, let's say I hit level 260 and I only have basic meso and drop gear. I would look at this event 30% off and think to myself, okay, July 14th, right now it's June 27th. So I have around 3 weeks or so to farm, and I would try and save as much money as possible, assuming I can already train, right? If I can't train, then I would try to spend a little bit money just so I could 1 or 2 shot in the maps so I could start making decent rates, and then I would hard save. This is the era of the game where you're going to need to start saving for a long time, and you need to understand that that mindset will only persist as you get further into the game. You need to know that saving is going to become a common thing on this game. You're probably not going to get gains every single day anymore, maybe not every single week, so you're going to need to save and then get a bunch of big gains later. That's how you progress really quickly to 275 plus. It's by being patient. The other thing about starring that I want to mention once you're 260 plus and when you go into these starring events is to stack fodders. So what does stack fodders mean, right? A lot of these items like Golix belt, superior pendant, superior earring, superior ring, these items, you can transfer stars to them. And it's very important to do that because it'll make starring these items way easier. Superior ring and superior pendant are pretty difficult to get because they cost 700 coins, which takes about 4 weeks of doing Golix to get if it booms. But you could transfer items to it. So for example, on the superior pendant, you could transfer Dominator pendant or Daybreak pendant to it and then the stars get transferred. But every single time you transfer a star, it goes down 1. So let's say I had a 22 star Daybreak pendant, like this one, for example, and I sent it to my Superior Golix pendant, then my Superior Golix pendant would be at 21. And having that 21 star Superior, you can actually sit on that for quite a while, and it'll give you a tremendous amount of damage. Same thing with the Meister ring. You could transfer the Meister ring to the Superior ring, like this 22 Meister ring would be a 21 Superior ring, and you could sit on that for a while and gain a lot of extra damage. Same with the belt. The belt, you could transfer the Pink Bean Golden belt or the Reinforced belt, and with the earrings, you would transfer Reinforced earrings to it. So familiarize yourself with transferring methods to star forcing and getting a bunch of spares. This is when your inventory is going to start filling up, because you're going to be saving items for events for like over a month. And then on the event, you blow all your money on it. But you could only do that if you prepared properly by getting the right Meso drop gear. So it increases the chances of you getting like a Kana's treasure or Pink Bean belts or whatever else you need. Now, back to the bossing point. I said it was very important to join bossing parties, but I also want to say that it's okay to do it solo if you don't really want to join any parties, you don't want to deal with scheduling. I have just personally found that at this point in the game, once you're starting to look for H-Lucid, H-Will, these bosses, their damage requirement is a lot higher to do solo than something like CRA. CRA, you could kind of just brute force a solo just from getting Arcane Force and leveling up naturally, but you're going to start needing some better gear once you are at these bosses, so it's going to be pretty difficult to solo. Like, you're probably not going to solo H-Lucid with just full 17 star gear. But on the other hand, if you're full 17 star, you can join literally every single one of these bosses in a party and clear no problem. So your progression just gets way faster if you communicate and try to make friends. It's actually so OP, to be honest with you, to have a group of people to play with. The next thing that we need to talk about that's very, very important is Threads of Fate. If you haven't done it by now, please do it. There's a million guides on it already, and the Threads of Fate will give you the resources that you need to get these wealth acquisition potions. These wealth acquisition potions, you can make a 2-hour one or a 30-minute one, and they increase your rates a lot. 20% meso, 20% extra drop. You're going to have to start getting used to drinking these to level up, because once you're 260 plus and you're approaching 275, and maybe you want to go 275 plus one day, you're gonna have to farm. There's no other way around it. You could do your dailies, Monster Park Extreme, Monster Park, they give you a lot of XP. You could use the XP vouchers and all that stuff, but eventually I'd say once you're 270 plus, it's going to be really difficult to get away from training, and it's something that you're going to have to accept that you're going to have to do. Threads of Fate is also very important to do because it'll give you all the materials you need to get Meister smithing, accessory crafting, and alchemy, which can be very useful because you can craft things like advanced boss rush potions, which increase your damage. You can get the whetstones that allow you to use the Meister crit damage ability, which also increases your damage, and for accessory crafting, which gives you Meister rings that you can use for damage gear and to transfer to your Superior Golix ring. So let's talk about training. Training becomes very important to know how to do. There's a difference from just jumping around and not really thinking about what you're killing versus having a actual proper training rotation and loot rotation. So for example, if I'm just jumping around, killing things, using skills, I'm not really thinking about it, I'll make okay rates. But if I have a proper loot rotation and I'm full clearing the map, then I'm going to be making a lot better rates. Something that's going to be very useful to you is to use the Urda Shower. If you right click it, it could turn into a skill called Urda Fountain. And if you place it down, it becomes an extra summon for you. And the summon works every single time you kill a certain amount of mobs, it procs on its own. So using the Urda Fountain can dramatically increase your rates. So going from just mindlessly not thinking about how I'm training to full clearing maps will increase your rates a massive amount. Training doesn't have to be that hard if you know how to train properly. Another resource that is going to be very, very, very useful to you is this website called MapleMaps.net. I would highly recommend supporting this creator. This guy went out of his way to make a website that helps you understand how to train better. So I'll show you how to use it real quick. So let's say I want to train in Grandis and I want to go to Hotel Arcus and I want to go to Waste 4, for example, right? So Waste 4, pretty good map. It tells you how many mobs are in the map and what the maximum amount of mobs you can get is, right? 18.2 to 18.7. So that alone tells you that this is a pretty good map for the region. So if we go back and we look at Theater 1, for example, Theater 1 is a very easy layout, right? A rectangle, but it has less mobs. This is what you're going to see a lot once you're 260 plus. plus, there's going to be an easier map that has less mobs, and there's going to be a map that is a little bit more difficult to train in but has more mobs. If you know how to train properly, you can full clear these bigger maps and make way more rates. But I also understand people who want to just lazy farm and lazy farm for a lot of hours, even if it's not at the best rate. So make sure you just choose what's best for you. What's really cool about this website is you can plan out where you are going to use your skills. So since we know that these are all the spawning points, we can visualize in our head, like, okay, if I'm a Hayato, I'll be standing here. I could Falcons under this. I could jump over here, Phantom Blade like this part, and then instant slice the top. And then that's how I can kill everything. But on top of that, what's really cool, there's this rotation helper on the top right that lets you use certain skills that you can place down. So Urda Fountain, I can place it down and it'll show the hitbox. Let's say I place it down over here. All right, let's just say over here. So that way, these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mobs will be killed by Urda Fountain, assuming it's strong enough, obviously. And not too long from now, July 17th, we're going to have a skill called Soul Janet. And what's really cool about Soul Janus is it's another summon that you could place down. So I could put down my Janus here. I could put down my second Janus here and then just run across the bottom and only worry about killing these. And your training just becomes so much easier. So let's just go back to the bigger map, like Waste 4. Let's say we're training and we're level 270 and we have level 10 Janus unlocked after it comes out. So we could do something like this. We could put down Urda Fountain here. We could put down 1 Janus over here and maybe 1 Janus over here. So this way, all I have to do is stand here, kill this, run across the bottom, kill these, and then just stand over here and then just run back and forth. And all of a sudden, this big map that might have been a little bit hard to navigate has become super easy to navigate. This skill, Soul Janus, again, is coming out after July 17th and can be very, very, very useful if you have it unlocked. Which, again, leads me back to drop gear, which I can't stress enough. Very, very important to increase your drop gear at this point in the game because you will need more fragments and you will need the familiars that are going to come soon. So it's very important to do that on the way to 275. So let's wrap it up and talk about when you're level 275. When you're level 275, you're going to have entered Shangri-La, and a lot of people are satisfied with being 275, or maybe they want to push further in the future. If you want a video on 275 plus, please let me know. But when you're 275, ideally you would have more than 80 drop. You might not have the full 200, but I would say at least try to get 160 drop on your equips. You probably have full 17-star gear, and you're working on getting gear to 22, like your CRA or maybe your Golux belt and stuff like that. And I would say bare minimum have at least 6k Legion, working towards 8k Legion by the time you're 275. If you have these things, over 6k Legion, 17-star gear across the board, good Meso drop gear, you will be in a very, very good position, because at this point, you should have no problem joining hard Saren parties and Black Mage parties. You could actually join Black Mage earlier, like around level 270, if you know what you're doing and you have enough practice. But most people are probably going to be looking for higher than level 270, anywhere between 270 and 275, to join Black Mage parties. Black Mage is going to be something that is very important for you to start doing, because the entire process of liberating your weapon takes 8 months. So it's very important to do it as early as possible. I'm going to be having a full liberation guide somewhat soon as well, so look forward to that. So hopefully by the end of this video, you maybe learned something that you didn't know before, you were reminded of something that you already knew, or just in general, I wanted to make this video just to help you guys. So by the time you're 275, you kind of know where you're at. And if you're not at this, that's perfectly fine as well. At the end of the day, everybody progresses a little bit differently. Some of you might be ahead of where I said, some of you might be behind, but that's okay. That's not a big deal. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment below. If this video helped you out, maybe consider helping me out by subscribing or watching some of my other videos, or maybe sharing this video with some of your friends that are on their way to level 275. If you want to talk to me directly, I stream almost every single day at Twitch. And with that being said, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much to my beautiful members, Blazefire, Shooms, Uju, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Grim4K, Koga, Pabo, Picolneer, Jesse, Dante Victory, Zats, and CK. I appreciate you guys so much.